when the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality. Open up those pages and start your fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it with your friends, so join the book club by DLC.
Hello, book clubbers! Hope you're dancing in your seat. Oh, we got good reason to dance this week. Good, fun stuff to talk about. And also, I'm excited because tonight I'm going to meet Lana Bashinsky in person for the very first time.
Ooh, I can't believe it. I keep saying that I'm like nervous, but I'm not nervous. I'm just like, I feel like a little kid where I'm like, and this is where I'm going to show you all my toys that I have. This is your room and that's my room. It feels like we're going to have a sick ass slumber party.
Yes, despite us living in the same city previously.
For many years.
Years and being quite good friends online. We've never actually met in meet space before, and very excited for the IRL. I'm traveling to Seattle this weekend for PAX, and I'm going to stay at Lana's place, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm pumped. Yeah.
So literally, that's tonight. Get on a plane tonight. Yeah. But hey, before that, we got some stuff to talk about because we got 2 chapters of the Bonehunters today here on the Book Club. And you know that before we get into that, we always start the show, or we like to, with a non-spoiler topic. And the best of them are supplied by you, our viewers, our listeners, at dlcfeedback@gmail.com. That's where you can send us emails for any reason. We love getting feedback, correspondence from you. But we especially love when you suggest a topic, and we got a great topic. Oh, also the Discord is great too, 5x5 DLC on Discord. But we got a great email sent to us. This comes from Dreddiknight. Dreddiknight. This is kind of a long email, but I want to read most of it because it's just so lovely. Dreddiknight says, "Greetings from London, England. I think I'm on my 3rd reread of the entire series now, although I've read the first 3 or 4 books more. I want to thank you both for your energy, humor, and insight as you work your way through this huge, challenging series. You are perfectly suited to the task, and it's a pleasure to join you in the community you've gathered as I revisit my all-time favorite series of books. I remember vividly the highs and lows of my first journey through them, and must admit that I get a lot of vicarious pleasure listening to you both experience it for the first time. And I love the comments. Malazan fans are the best when it comes to keeping spoilers in check and being supportive." Hear to that. This series has had a profound effect on how I view literature in general and stories across whatever mediums in particular. It has given me insights into myself, the way I view the world, the value of connectedness, of life, empathy, and love in all its forms. It has also evoked within me depths of emotion I rarely feel from fiction. These books allow me to cry, laugh, and be emotional without any of the control I employ on a daily basis in my life and work. The catharsis I get from Erikson's writing is something I'm extremely grateful for. It's like a pressure valve that I can use that reminds me we're all just trying to do the best we can in a wild and tumultuous world. And often, compassion and empathy are the most important things we can have for one another. Well said. There are only a few things that come close to what Erikson does for me. Robin Hobb and her series are up there. Neil Gaiman and The Sandman and some of his novels. Octavia Butler has given me snippets of it. Guy Gavriel Kai, does it on the regular. Are there any writers you would place here? In the musical format, Philip Glass, Gil Scott-Heron, Max Richter, and Tribe Called Quest have produced works which resonate on a similar level and move me. Outside of writing, The Wire comes closest to what I get reading Malazan. The scope, the relatable characters, the avoidance of simplistic good versus evil, the exploration of our human vices, and the structures that sometimes encourage them. Roots gave me a similar depth of emotion, although not quite in the same way due to it being a bit too close emotionally for me as a member of the African diaspora that came of slavery. In the more focused setting, the lives of others made my chest swell with so many feelings as the story played out, as did Schindler's List. Banksy's artworks are a good visual example. I could go on, but enough of my rambling. I know you know what I mean, so answer me this. What stories, art, music, etc. have given you similar feelings or echoes of what you've experienced reading the Malazan Book of the Fallen? With love, Dreddiknight. Wonderful email, Dreddiknight. Thank you.
Wonderful email.
So beautiful. And agree on a number of points, obviously. This is a big sprawling question. And of course, I would love to get our listeners' responses to this too. So please, folks, if you're listening, tell us. I mean, this is like the best of the best, right? This is what we want to know about. But Lana, for you, what other artists, other medium would fall in this category?
I so appreciate questions like this because, but it also like pains me in a particular way because it sort of strikes upon like one of the key reasons that I thought that I would be bad at the book club, that I thought that I wasn't going to be good at this, or even things like I have felt so very many powerful emotions, some of them like here talking to you, but I am like water. I do not retain it, like goes water's the other way. It like retains everything. Everything kind of flows away. Even like these like most potent experiences I have, I don't know if it's like a clinical thing, but my memory is just so poor that it falls away if I'm not actively trying to cling on to it. There are like the thing that comes to mind when I think about this that was like so striking into that like emotional gut punch and like really made me just think is a video game called What Remains of Edith Finch.
Oh, I love it so very much. Yes.
It is so good. It is, I think it's qualified as a walking simulator. I think it's only 3, maybe 4 hours, maybe 2 hours, like a very short experience.
Yeah.
Powerful, immersive game.
And one of those things that I constantly think about. It's
think
constantly in my brain and referenced. I see things in life and I think of a sequence from What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah. I cannot believe how much it has clung to me as compared to other things because I am so bad at retaining them. So while like like when it comes to media, especially books, I feel like I've chased adventure more than I've chased these things. And often the types of adventures I really like, it's always like because it's like, oh, that was so fun and exciting. But like that deep sort of emotional resonance is not something that I don't enjoy. I enjoy it very much, but just because of various recommendations I've had or where I was in my life or the things that interest me, that isn't the path that I've followed. I think it's a path that I'm more recently getting into. It used to be not like a point of, it was a thing I knew about myself where it's like, oh, I don't cry at movies. I don't cry when I read books. I don't I don't just feel things like that. It just feels like distant from me. But that is something over the last 5 years or so that I've noticed changing about myself, where I do think I feel things more deeply. The one thing that has always kind of gotten me in my heart is music. Always, like there'll be songs that like I'll just sing to myself and I'll just like them so much and it'll make me be like, oh, it's beautiful. Not because I'm like a great singer, but because I just love it. And Nathaniel Rateliff always really gets me like that. And there's one song called If We Were Vampires by Jason Isbell that I also really, really love. But like, obviously there's more music, there's more things, but like it's like in these moments, it's like in a job interview in video games, you show up and they're like, what games do you like? Or even what games are you playing? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like, it just vacates my brain in the moment of asking. So I'd probably have to dwell on it, put together a list and post it in the Discord later. But That
I think those are great polls already. I mean, What Remains of Edith Finch is such a great poll. It didn't occur to me, but man, it's perfect. It is that the video game example for me of something that is profoundly moving and comes from this place of compassion and is powerful in its interactivity. It's great, just a wonderful poll. I wrote down a little list of things that came to mind as well. For other authors, Cormac McCarthy is in that echelon for me. That the language, the use of language, and also kind of the sort of exquisite pain that you can feel with his specifically, I'm thinking of The Road. It also uses fantastical elements, genre fiction to express it in the same way that Erikson has. David Mitchell is another. Bone Clocks and Cloud Atlas are two books that really mean a lot to me and moved me very powerfully, and both also have supernatural and sort of science fiction elements in them. And George Saunders, The 10th of December, is an amazing collection of stories that do that to me. And again, these are three authors that are just wordsmiths, wizards with language, and the word selection is so powerful. I loved that Dreddiknight mentioned Robin Hobb. Have you ever read any of the
I have
Farseer?
not. No.
I think that's a major contender for the book club
Next.
or eventually, or because
But have you read them?
I've read not a single one of her books. So yeah, and there's 12 of them or something. So it's like it's even more than we're doing now. So it's like it might be a real contender. And I've heard very, very good things about Farseer. It's like a trilogy of trilogies or something like that. It's a collection of, but they all work together. Anyway, it's supposed to be very good. I don't know much about it. I'm probably getting things wrong, but so other things in other media. For music, I'm a huge Prince fan. He's my favorite artist, and Prince does that for me. Like his world building, which is a weird thing to say about a musician, but Prince has world building, right? He has language that he uses. If he ever says the word "you," he just uses it with a single letter. If he says the word "I," there's a little picture of an "I," and he's consistent over decades of doing that kind of thing. And I don't know, the way he uses language is amazing, and his musicianship, of course, is stellar. Tom Waits is another that is kind of like speaking from a deeper place. It seems not just resonant, but sort of the poetry that he speaks with. And then some TV shows that really did this recently for me is top of the list is Midnight Mass. Did you watch Midnight Mass?
No, I think it's like kind of spooky, right?
It's a little spooky. It's Mike Flanagan, who kind of works in the horror genre.
Yeah, that's I dodged that one. I can't handle it.
Oh, it's so good though. It's not that spooky.
That's what everybody says.
Is
it
so
more
good.
or less spooky than Alan Wake?
Less.
Okay.
I stopped playing Alan Wake.
Yeah.
Midnight Mass has some horrific things, but it's not like trying to scare you.
Okay.
But it does the thing that Erikson does, where like we'll just kind of it'll indulge in just philosophical discussion for a little while. It'll just like consider the big questions of the universe, as the characters are kind of sorting through what to do next. It's so good. I cannot recommend Midnight Mass higher. Another one that kind of falls in this category for me is Devs, Alex Garland's Devs, and even his movie Annihilation works.
Annihilation's so good, good.
And then Station 11. I never read the novel of Station 11. Actually, I read part of the novel of Station 11, but the television series is excellent and really moved me, and talks about art and the importance of art in life and compassion, and kind of looks at people that you think are the villains and kind of gives them, you understand them, anyway. So many great ones. And of course, we would love to hear yours. If you want to post them on the YouTube or in the Discord, it would be wonderful to hear other things that work on the level that Erikson's Tale of the Malazan Book of the Fallen is for us. And I assume for you, if you're still with us, 6 books in. We are on chapter 19 and 20 of the Bonehunters. So let's get into it. Spoilers starting now for those chapters. These are some stuff that happens, man. Stuff goes down.
Ooh.
We start chapter 19 with Barathol and Crocus and Solara are getting a little more acquainted in the bed next door.
little bit.
Yeah. Barathol's like, what's that sound? Oh, that sound. But also we're close to the sea, so that's nice. But he's that guy who's like, my roommates are getting
Keep
it on
down,
again.
youngins.
But interesting that Solara positions it as being some sort of
like act of service.
Act of service. Yeah. She's trying to make the little guy feel better.
And like what's interesting that I like is like she sees this as like it's never been a romantic part of her life. It's never been something that was had more thought behind it than another day at the office kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we've seen her be like, all right, I know how to solve this problem. And people are like, stop. No, there's other ways to solve problems. And seeing her do this and then present it like, I'm solving the problem. And Barathol's like, okay. And then meanwhile, Crocus is like, slept well and woke up and being like, we got to get on the road. And he's like, touche.
I really have a hop in my step this morning. Can't figure out why, but feeling pretty good.
The sea's waiting, I think. Let's go.
Yep. And also, this sort of newish character, Char, who in these chapters has become has a place in my heart now. But we get to see him sort of running around and feeling joy, and everybody else looking at that as this kind of pure expression of joy. Him, obviously having a mental impairment, but kind of having this sort of very innocent feeling about the water and the sky and just being out there and reminding them all of that, the possibility of looking on the world with those kinds of fresh eyes,
and
which
just
of course
allowing yourself to feel things and feel them fully when you see them. It's nice.
And we also have them like, hey, so the moon looks weird. Stuff in the sky. All right. Anyway, well, that's probably nothing.
Anyway, should we get on something that could kill us?
Let's do it. So yes, they do find some ships in this abandoned fishing village, and they're like, "Oh, this is great. We got boats now. Feeling good. Char's happy. We're all. What could go wrong? If you would say the sky is falling, I'd say, chin up, kid."
Well, was there any significance other than the fact that they were, towing Hebrick's corpse around between here's the 2 boats. One is named something's tail, Dinrabi's tail, and the other one's named something's grief. And they're like, we're taking the grief boat.
Yeah, we're taking the grief boat. And I was like, that's...
That Barathol obviously was seemed like he was familiar with the vessels, or maybe he was just familiar with the names, but I don't know if you gleaned any significance from that other than Barathol knows what these are.
No, that was pretty much the extent of it for me too. Yeah. And there's also this lovely moment where Crocus and Solara are talking, and she's like, what are we supposed to do? This is the gods are fighting. What are we supposed to do? We have no place in this.
We're just babies.
We're just little mortals over here. Yeah. So they decide to get on the boat and head to Atatarol Island to fulfill Heborik's last wish. What could go wrong? So then we head over to Onrak. We check in with Onrak, who is not too happy about all the dead children. I mean, he's really got a real bugaboo about that.
Yeah,
you know?
he's not like the other Talanomas. He doesn't like dead children.
Yeah.
This scene was very interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting because it was like, it actually, I mean, my memory's so bad. You mentioned it, I'm like, oh yeah. But they've been fighting at this spot, and he's like, I am so exhausted from this.
Yeah.
Like, emotionally. And they're like, emotionally? He's like, yeah, I'm free.
I've got those now.
I have those now. And I'm so emotionally feeling so annoyed. And now people are going to feel like a Talanomas wrath feels like. We've been cold killers, and now they're going to feel my anger. And that, what a juicy setup. What a juicy,
dude, I love the
juicy setup.
No more Mr. Nice on rack, you know?
That was nice on rack?
Yeah, I know, that was the nice version.
I also just love, like, what he's talking about is like one more of our most powerful fighters in this world that we know of on their way to kill Roulade.
Yeah.
I add another one, tally it up.
I mean, this is what Roulade wants. So
Get him.
I don't know how that's all going to play out, but
yeah.
Very interesting. So then we're back with our second favorite drunk, Banishar. Hellion's still my first favorite drunk. Banishar, second favorite drunk, who's like, hey, guess what? Drunk, walked into the room, and Pearl is there. This rad convo where feeling each other out, talking, having a sort of philosophical tete-a-tete, you know, you know, coming up with these hypotheticals about the responsibility of the God worshiper relationship and the moral contract that might be tacit in that dynamic.
Who's actually like sinister between the two? Are gods like fine because the betrayal is to be expected because every unanswered prayer counts as one, or is it part of it that makes them inherently evil because they are ignoring so many people? I love this scene.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
The sort of you know, the verbal sparring is great. The examples are great. He's like, well, what if a man prays for the death of his wife because he has a mistress, and like that's morally reprehensible, right? And he's like, well, what if the wife is terrible and the mistress is delightful and she'll be a better mom to his kids? And
well, it's like, what if the wife is terrible? He's like, yeah, but this guy still has a mistress. It's like, well, what if the mistress is the best person in the world? And it's like all the layers of like, well, what if? Like, what makes this circumstance acceptable or not?
Right.
And the whole thing is like sort of wheedling into, I felt like some of my confusion. People pointed out in the comments last week that there's like a couple crossed wires. I mixed up the fact that there are two different bars, the Phoenix Inn and the other one from Malaz City or whatever. Yeah. But this scene of them being like, it's all trying to get to the heart of, are we going to share information? I think I know what you know. You want to know what I know?
Right.
How about you tell me the little thing that you want to say, and then maybe the thing that I want to say is part of that thing. Yeah. And the fact that they're like having this big suss each other out moment makes me be like, there is weirdness swirling around here. The thing that they end up like sort of touching upon, well, there's like the whole thing was like a sideways conversation to talk about what happened at the Temple of Drek, right?
Yeah, it basically solves the mystery. These two solve the mystery that of Hellion and the massacre that starts this novel, which is like, oh, the god itself killed all of its priests because the priests were asking of it, praying to it for things that it thought were reprehensible.
And I think what they wanted was the Drek to ally itself with the House of Chains. Did I read that correctly? That they were like,
yeah, they chose to side with the crippled god, and they're like, come do this and you know, rain suffering and torment on our enemies. And Drek's like, I'm not doing that.
And killed all the priests.
I'm gonna kill you instead.
Yeah. And then Taishren, who was once a priest of Drek, or you know, insert the correct title here of Drek.
Yeah.
he is in the city nearby wherever Banashar has been hanging out, but he is sort of in a magical bubble of some variety. He is being isolated from people.
Yeah.
And that was the part that still, I felt like while I was reading it, I was like, oh, I get it. But like a third party is isolating him. The Empress could come break through, and she very well may, because she's physically on the way, I guess, supposedly,
Yes.
to this spot. But there is some sort of magical, emotional, mental isolation that's happening of Tatian right now. So he is likely unawares, I guess, of whatever other dangers are possibly happening everywhere else. Is that your understanding?
Yes, that is my understanding. And we still don't know exactly what he's up to.
Yes.
And Pearl's like, I'm not the one that's been intercepting your letters to him, by the way. So we also don't know an answer to that question.
Yes.
But I love this concept of the pantheonic war, like the War of the Gods, which is really taking center stage right now in the series as being the sort of big impending problem. And that, first of all, that term is rad. I'd never heard that term before. And I love this dynamic that I've never really seen expressed, this notion of a tension between a god and its followers, that there being some sort of like almost power dynamic there of what we ask of it, what it grants to us, and the disparity between those two, what it expects to be asked, what it ignores or does not ignore. All of that stuff is so fascinating and juicy. And I love that that's like sort of the central underpinning of the conflict, at least with Drek, and maybe even in a greater sense with a lot of the gods.
Well, I just love that there is like, everybody's like, oh yeah, gods are at war. But they say that a lot, but then we get, like a flash of it. And it's like, that seems really extreme. Anyway, back to our mortal stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we're glimpsing this thing that's happening. I can only sort of liken it to like a fight in Dragon Ball Z, where like they're moving so fast and people are like, where are they even? What's happening? And it's like, oh, there they are. Wow, power,
Yeah.
But it's so interesting how we're woven through it as a reader, but how what the mortal experience is through this battle.
But also the fact that followers of a god sort of have leverage in a certain sense, right? Like the god needs followers, and if the followers start deciding that what they want of their god is this twisted version of what the god stands for, it sort of has to make a decision.
Yeah.
Which is such a cool notion that the god is like, well, am I either going to go along with what the followers want?
Or risk oblivion.
Right. Risk oblivion or rebel against them, as Drek seems to have done. And like,
but like if they have no followers, we've seen with
they go
like
away.
The beast gods, they just
Yeah. So cool. All right. So then we head over to Mappo's boat, where Spite is sort of on the prowl, near, far. She's just having a convo. With, I think, the aerosol. Is that the spirit that we think she's talking to?
I feel like there's a couple things that went back and forth in my mind. The aerosol seems like the right one because it's been hanging around, and any single time somebody's like, there's an energy here, it seems bad, but it's kind of doing good things for us.
Yeah.
It's been that. But the fact that it was this brown cloud and it is windy, I was like, is the whirlwind goddess dead?
Ooh, interesting.
Is this like they were like talking about the dust on the wind and sudden gusts of it, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember the desert. Bleh.
And we know that Felicity the Younger is now
Shaik
the new
Reborn.
Yes,
but Shaik Reborn was possessed by the whirlwind goddess. I don't know if they're like
two distinct things for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. And Bug, our buddy Bug, Male, is involved also in a very, very significant way.
But like, so people like yelling at him a lot, which we know he can like hear because of the other book.
Yep.
But what's he doing?
It's funny how everyone describes Male as being the ultimate
a piece of garbage.
Yeah, and I just think about Bug, and I'm like, I don't remember him that way. That's not how I That's not the male I knew. You know what I'm saying?
He boiled that shoe once, and it was sweet.
And I also was sadly disillusioned when Spite was like, the monkeys aren't running the boat. The monkeys aren't piloting the boat. And I was like, oh, I wanted it to be true that it was monkey boat. I wanted
But then
monkey
she was
boat.
just like, it's ghosts, obviously. And I was like, yeah, obviously, everybody.
Obviously. Wait, is that better? Ghosts? Let the monkeys try. Let the monkeys try.
I know. I could see the monkeys.
And then Spite is like, hey, guess what? We're going to the world's biggest convergence. Convergence 99. It's going to rock. You've been to other convergences. This convergence will rule them all. Oh, yeah. There was the Fall of the Crippled God convergence. Rage of Calor convergence. All of them. Great. Everybody remembers it. Best of times. But this convergence, we're going to
it's gonna blow them all out of the water.
Yeah, very good. Well done. So that's happening. I feel like that, by the way, that convergence is, I mean, who knows with Erikson, but it feels like that's like book 10, right?
I was thinking about that while I was reading this, and I almost wish I said it before we started, that I had like a prediction of something that you might say, and it's that sentence.
That's the sentence.
Because there's been several times you're like, this is it. I mean, that seems like what it's going to be.
I'm always wrong. But
I just know that our comments are like, y'all, I cannot express enough how much you have no idea.
And you know what? It's proven to be true over and over.
But it does feel that way. But who knows?
Who knows?
Is book 10 called The Crippled God?
Yeah, it is. Book 10 is called The Crippled God. Yeah.
Okay.
So then we head over to Terralac, Veed, and Icarium. And Terralac is being a hype man, hyping up his boy. He's like, listen, you are the best. Just get out of that mopey state. Sharpen up that blade. You're going to slice and dice some people. It's going to be awesome. You're going to be rad. Just like get hype.
You think that blade's a weapon? You're the weapon.
You're the weapon.
Born for this. You were born for this.
Claws and fangs. You're so money and you don't even know it.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, he's like sick and just staring at him like, tell me about it.
I don't want to unleash my rage.
I'm a weapon? That seems like bad to me.
Yeah.
And Terralac in his brain, he's like, Mappa, what an idiot. He could have had all this, and it's like the worst version of a car. Mappa had a car, and I'm like bathing in the water, like like the best, just living his best life, being like, I sure wish I wasn't slightly haunted by my memories, and like just like joy and exploration and safety. And now like this sickly, sad Icarium, he's like, this is the good stuff.
Terralac's like, so easy to make him do whatever I want by bumming him out.
He's like, this is my kind of man.
Then we head over to the Solanda, where there's arguments and fights typical with the soldiers. I love the fact that like they're tussling and fighting kind of breaks down into a physical altercation, and somebody gets shoved into the pile of severed heads, and all the heads are like, what's going on? Like, oh, okay, fight over, let's restack stack the heads.
Cover those up.
So funny.
Yeah.
Really good. And Bottle is like, hey, why I don't understand why the spirit is pushing us to go faster. I don't understand why that's happening. Feels weird. I don't think we should trust it.
And that's that mysterious spirit again. I assume that
got to be the aerosol, because Fiddler's like the one that touches your naughty bits.
Yeah, we're gonna get any battles later.
Yeah, you're worried about it. And then we have this kind of humorous little moment where Kalam's like, hey, I found your Quick Ben. What you doing? He's like, hiding down here in the cargo hold.
Quick Ben?
Oh, the most powerful wizard in the universe, hiding in the cargo hold. Sweet.
Well, I was like, this feels like not like Quick Ben. I'm like, no, this feels very much like Quick Ben, where he's like, yeah, I'm powerful because I don't get dead or in
Yeah.
trouble.
It's
And so he's like hiding there to like get the sense of people or get the sense of anything. Meanwhile, they're like, you got to go talk to Devore. And he's like, make me.
I know. It felt to me that part of it was him hiding because he kind of felt this danger looming, but part of him was hiding was just he didn't want to talk. I don't feel like getting into it right now. I just don't make me talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Callum's like, okay.
Well, I'm gonna tell her where you are. I'm a tattle.
Yeah, can I get in then? He's like, yeah, okay, scooting over. Such a like two little kids, you know. I just loved
I
it.
know. And even them being like, I can't believe you don't trust me. That hurts. My best friend. He's like, I've never trusted you. And he's like, and that's a good idea. But still.
Yes, I'm an assassin. I'm a total jerk. But also my feelings are hurt.
Yeah.
All right. So then the Malazan fleet has arrived at Sepik. And they're like, oh, this is going to be sweet. We're going to go to Sepik. Oops, except Sepik has been slaughtered by the Tisti Dur.
Mm-hmm. I
Absalar,
love the image of just the birds.
Mhm.
Birds and birds and birds and being like, well, keep on sailing.
Yeah, nothing to see here. Just a feast for birds. It's kind of weird because the adjunct Tavor and Absalar both like have knowledge they shouldn't have about what happened here. Both of them are like, yep, I know exactly what, yep, Tisti Dur. And like, how do you know that?
I mean, both of them, I suspect Tavor either has some communication thing going on or to Amber's like, I'll tell you. I'm like waiting for the reveal of to Amber is like, to God of everything or whatever.
To God. To know what's to up.
And I love it. What's it? Tavor being like, how'd you know that? Absalar being like, how'd you? And they're like, anyway, nice day we're having.
The Nether's like, oh, I know how she knows. A god comes every few days to break her heart. And
makes her feel like, so bad.
No, she doesn't.
It was brutal. I like how they're like so teenage now and Nil and Nether.
They're so mean
children
girls.
with like the history of mage prowess and been reborn in these bodies however many times and being like, you got a crush, shut up.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
And so then we head over to hang on. The last scene of the chapter is again Fiddler and Cuddle, and they're like, hey, Cuddle's like, the Tisti Dur murdered everyone on Sepik. Technically, Sepik is a Malazan colony, so guess what? That's technically an act of war against the Malazan Empire. And they're like, maybe we shouldn't mention that to anybody.
For me, I'm like, is that the first act of war against the Malazan Empire? I felt like they were all like, I mean, they just said like their boat feud. I guess they would have thought that was narrowly avoiding war.
Yeah. Well, everybody's like, well, let's go rough them up. We can take them now. We can take them, especially if they're going into our turf. And we got Quick Ben. Do you see how awesome he was? And Bottle's like, that was an illusion, not real magic. And also, we don't want to be messing with magic from the holds because that's real scary.
Too close to chaos.
Yeah. Super cool, I thought. And he's also like, why are we going so fast? Why are we pushing so fast through Mael's realm? All right.
Well, is it this chapter that they're like, yeah, we're going so fast through Mael's realm. Try and catch us now, idiot. It feels like everybody's taunting him constantly.
I know. It's very funny. So chapter 20 starts back with our boy Ganoz. And he and Nato Boyle have this wonderful back and forth where Nato like reveals the most disturbing job. I thought my first job was rough, you know?
Yeah, that Drek situation,
Oof.
not so good.
We learned earlier that at the Festival of Drek, if there were any lame dogs, feral dogs that were lame and they were going to die anyway, the kids had their fun by throwing rocks at them until they died. Oh, what fun the kids had
Joy.
stoning the crippled dogs. And come to find out, if there's not enough crippled dogs for the kids to have, maybe you make a few. Maybe you provide that service for the children for a small fee.
10 pennies a leg. Hey, so brutal. Also, I loved you saying crippled dog. I was like, yeah, crippled God.
Crippled dog.
I don't know. My brain was dyslexic. I just heard that. And I was like, uh-huh.
Also, Nato Boyle has been around a lot of real famous people, which is interesting. And then we have another moment where they're like, hey, look at the sky's weird.
I like that this
weird.
Is like people for however long have been like, moon's weird, huh? There's like holes in it?
Is there supposed to be holes in it? Was there holes in it yesterday?
If there's holes in it, did something fall out of it? No. It's fine.
Yeah.
And now
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But Gnos is like, he knows what's up. He's like, I need that artist guy, quick. He's been working on the project that I'm sure he's almost done with it. Give me that new deck of dragons that he said would be done like today. Call him over here.
Mm-hmm.
But first we head back over to Mappo. They also see the sun, the sky is falling. I love how we're like checking in on people who are vastly different locations, like continents away from each other, and all of them are like, sky looks bad.
I wonder, because folks last week in the comments were saying that we should like pull up the map so that we could see where things are, and I think this was why. I didn't find this to be like confusing necessarily about like where everybody was. I very much got that they're in different places, but I wonder if like triangulating them mattered. I have not done that.
They are vast distances apart, which I think is one of the cool things about this particular sequence, is that because it's happening on a kind of extraterrestrial level, it's witnessed. You see it wherever you are on the planet, right?
Yeah.
If something's happening to the moon, everybody's noticing it. And I just thought that was cool that we check in on everybody and everybody's like, that looks bad. That looks like a meteor shower.
I like the way that it's described as well. Like, I think of it very cinematically, of somebody being like, man, there's something happening like way over there. And then somebody being like, wow, those things look like they're pretty close. And then, the folks we catch up with later are like, that looks like it's right on top of us.
That's bad. Let's go faster. Must go faster. Also, Spite is so we're with Mappo and they're almost at Ototoro Island, and they're freaking out. This girl Pust is freaking out so much that he's actually willing to sleep with his wife. And Spite is like, okay, this is a job for Spite, and she transforms into a dragon. She's like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go take them on, whoever them is. And the things falling in the sky sort of get this green tinge to them, which I thought was rad.
I thought it was interesting because they are, they're near Ototoro Island.
Yes.
And I would have thought veering is like a magical thing that somebody could do. I would have expected that to be something suppressed.
Affected, maybe.
She comes back very hurt later, but I can't just tell if it was because of the meteors or what, but we'll touch on that. But I did think it was interesting that she was able to do that. I feel like they're far enough away, or it made me sort of question what that is. Is
the soul takenness or diversness like affected? I don't know
part
if
of your physicality that. Or is that a magical ability? I don't know.
It's a good question. All right, then we have this this quick moment, and we're kind of bouncing around to all of the different ships and the different parts. Everybody's seeing these suns. They call them these suns that are descending from the sky. And we even see Sergeant Hellion, who's like completely wasted, and runs into the admiral, who's like, just get below deck. She's like, for me? Really? I'll change this bottle for your thing. And
was it the admiral?
that's
Why
what
was
I got.
It so like shrouded in mystery? People were like staring at her like, I
just
can't
think
believe you
because
did that.
because she's such an idiot that she didn't recognize she was talking to the highest ranking person on the boat. And like just talking to him like he's
she's like, I need a sailor. That's a sailor, all right.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was like, I have the power to turn this ship around and go wherever I want, you know. But I thought it was a lovely, humorous scene.
I thought it was a humorous scene, and like it's so sweet in its way, like these little sort of childish moments that we have between Char and Nil and Nether, honestly Quick Ben, and now Hellion being like, look, it's an easy trade. This one's expensive, so even though it's empty, it's the same. And then like getting this beautiful flask and being like, and like revering the booze inside so much that she's like, this is great. And she like points at these crests, but one of them she's like, whoa, even that crest, but like doesn't say what it is. So that makes me be like, what was it? I feel like I should know and I don't. And then as she is like literally like, all right, let's get you to bed kind of thing, like shepherded towards the below decks, she's sticking her tongue out at everybody like, get your own. I got my little treat.
So funny.
Very, very adorable.
She is a delight every time we get a chance to hang out with her. So then we're back to Ganoz, who's like, oh, finally, or Mulligan, I'm so glad you finished up the deck. He's like, oh, what? He spills it all out and they're all not done. He's like, oh,
what the heck, man?
Classic artist who's like, you said they had to be good, so I haven't really done any work.
How dare you? It's so... You just described my job.
I feel funny. It very much in my own realm as well. Oh, you wanted me to I used to say in college, if you wait till the last minute, it only takes a minute.
I feel very happy that in university I realized that if I just did it, then I could just do whatever I wanted after, and then it'd be done.
What an enlightened point of view. I wish I would. My modus operandi was stress because I put it all off and then cram it all in at the end.
I'd rather have every social activity haunted by the fact of the work I have not done.
Oh, yeah. No joy to be gained because the crushing weight of impending doom. Yeah. Anyway, that's our boy Ormuligan, and Gano's like, okay, fine. Okay, we don't have the cards. I'll just draw it in the sand. I could do this. Okay, I'll just draw mail. And they're like, that looks like a hood. What? He's like, he accidentally draws the wrong god.
So good. Yeah. Okay. Art's so easy. I'll do it.
Yeah. It's just so brilliant that like, all right, you just have to draw I'm the master of the deck. All I got to do is draw the right god and I could summon them or go to them. And he's like, yeah, that doesn't look like the god you want. Well, what god does it look like? You'll find out real quick. Very funny.
And then is it immediately the next scene that we see where he goes?
Yeah, he goes to Hood. He goes to Hood's gates. He's like right there at Hood's gates. Which is very funny. I love how Hood's gates has been presented like this metaphor the whole time, and it's literal gates.
And like what a nasty little gate made of body and hair and whatever. Yeah. I picture like in my mind, there's like certain scenes that stick out to me. Just visually, I find them so. I like want to go through and like just do like a 3-second render and like slow motion of like all these scenes, and Good News throwing himself almost through the gates fully into death, being like by accident, and like this big spooky like, gray misty.
Well, foot and a half more and I'd be actually dead is very funny. Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah. I also want the cinematic shot of like them having this argument, coming to this bargain, and then we slowly pan over, and upside down is this corpse that like opens its eyes.
It's like just a quick bend, like.
That's so good.
I love it. Ooh, what a little weasel.
So good. I have it so vivid in my imagination, that shot of how he would definitely be upside down, just like so funny. But yes, the more important point is that Gnoz makes a bargain with Hood, and we don't know exactly what the details are, but it sounds like it's going to be Gnoz is going to owe Hood something that he doesn't want to have to owe him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, well, it's time to open my gates. And he's like, what are you talking about? Aren't the gates already open? And he goes, not from this side.
Ooh,
sick. It's been a one-way entrance.
A ticket, yeah.
Now we got people spewing the other direction. Or spirits, I should say.
Is it people? Is it spirits? Is it Hebrick? Like what?
Yeah. I mean, I think... Well, clearly the bargain is Hebrick don't die, right? That's what Gnoz wants.
Yeah.
But I got the impression that also Hood is like, I'm going to shoot some dead people at the problem from this side of the gates.
Yeah. I felt like if it was, the whole thing was just for Hebrick, I'd be like, I guess he's that important. I mean, obviously he does important things in like a second.
Yeah.
But I'll be curious to see the continued payoff, be it through Gnew's payment or what.
We don't know what is asked of him thus far.
Yes.
But I mean, not to jump ahead, but my understanding of the deal is, and I don't know why Gnoz knows this, I guess it's just master of the deck stuff, but basically because Heboric realizes that he's actually the shield anvil and not the destriant.
Interesting.
Which is super interesting. Again, I'm super jumping ahead.
Know.
But just to step through it, that him not being dead and sort of leveraged in this moment because the Jade Sons are actually beings, right? That are these souls that are coming down. He absorbs their pain like Itkovian did, like the shield anvil does. And in absorbing their pain, sort of lessens their power, right? Minimizes their impact, quite literally.
I thought that, yes. I'll wait to talk about the rest of it till we get there.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't mean to jump ahead, but
No.
That's just to sort of step through what I think the progression is. Okay, so we're in it now. We're in a firestorm of death from the sky. These firestorms are hitting Crocus's boat, burning holes through it. Boric's corpse wrapped up tumbles into the water. Char reaches for it. They both go into the drink, sucked underneath. There's this exquisite, small little moment where we are from Char's POV in his sort of simple mind. I welled up. I'm a father of an autistic child, and the sort of expression of that innocence and lack of basic self-preservation awareness. Yeah. Boy, it resonated for me. It is. I thought it was very beautiful.
Even just the methodical. I was told, do not breathe the ocean. Don't breathe the sea. Can't breathe the sea. And like the pain that he's feeling because he is obviously drowning. Yeah, very sweet and sad, and
so sad, so sad.
And
the
just
fact that the breathing of the water and letting it go into his lungs. Oh my God.
The sense of like the powerful sense of duty that he has from following behind in the sand and burning his feet because he doesn't have any shoes on. Just like, I have to help to being on the boat and be like, this is my charge, is carrying Heberic, and I have to do this. This is like my job. This is what I have to do.
They told me to do it, so I'll do it no matter what.
To the scene, the payoff of the scene later of like, it's beautiful, beautiful.
Incredible. Berthol dives after Char. Crocus grabs Solara and pulls her onto a fragment of the boat. And she has that such telling moment where she just says, I'm glad I gave the baby away. Where she's been this like hard, callous shell, not, I don't care. And in that moment, in the moment of life and death, I'm glad the baby won't die.
It was like the first honest moment that she was like, I'm glad I gave the baby away. And not because she didn't want her, but because it's better that
if she was here,
safe.
she would be in danger.
Yeah.
So good. And then we're in sort of Borik's POV. He sort of hears the voices of the Jade Sons, whatever those things are. And he has this realization that he is not, in fact, the Destriant, but was all along the shield anvil.
What
Boom.
the thing that I think is interesting there, it was reading, I was like, oh, what does that mean here? And then
that's important. Why is it important?
But the thing that I thought was interesting, he's like, because I, unlike these Jade people, these voices that I'm hearing, I can take pain because I remember pain. And then the end of the chapter is like, wait, nobody remembers pain.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be like, what does that mean? Does that mean that Hebreck wasn't as effective as he could have been? Because it's like, no matter how hard we try, nobody can remember pain. I mean, that's like a mortal trait, right?
Yeah.
And so it didn't seem like a Hebreck ailment. It was a mortal realization.
Right.
And I'm like, is that why the things still hit as hard as they did? Is because my understanding was that he was taking power from those things in some way, or focusing them to the autotral space, because that's like where their magic would be immediately diminished, or like whatever it was. His Destriant power took pain from them and changed the course of what was about to happen.
Right.
But it was not clear to me what that like little sentence meant, other than the fact that maybe Hebreck would be not emotionally traumatized by this forever, or maybe that Ikovian wouldn't be like fully traumatized by what he went through, even though he's now dead.
I don't know. I took it as more of an ephemeral sort of realization that we as beings forge ever into pain because we don't remember that it was awful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We only remember that it was awful, but we cannot call the pain to memory and feel it in the way that we did.
Or use it as a true deterrent for our actions. Like we are cyclical in causing pain and causing suffering because we don't remember it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what my take was. But maybe there is a more direct
I think it could be
repercussion.
nothing. It made it seem ominous when he said it because of, the stakes. But
right. Yeah. Also, we have this incredible visual of a Totoro Island sort of sprouting these jade hands, like trees shooting up all over the place. Incredible.
I loved it.
Incredible.
And I'm like, are they creatures? Are they actually people? Is this just magical? The statues reaching for the things that are in the sky? Like, what is it? Mystery.
I don't know, but it was vivid in my mind. Man, what vivid. A neat image. And then Spite as a dragon comes down and grabs Crocus and Solara
who are like bleeding from their faces.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we just cut right over to Mappa, who sees Spite doing this, sees Spite come back and drop off Crocus and Solara on their boat. And Mappa's like, I know them.
And their boat's fine because the donkey is doing something somehow.
Now, did you take that as...
I still think the donkey is like
truth?
a weird soul taken. I think
Soul taken donkey. That's pretty funny.
I
If
think
that's
they've
true,
just been like somebody who's like, yeah, this is the form I prefer. I'm chilling here. Maybe they're like Treach, where they're like, I've been a donkey so long, I'm a donkey.
It was very funny that, it's like, how do we get saved? Well, that donkey that Isteral Pust is constantly chewing out saved us.
How? Well, look at it. It's doing it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they have this kind of like,
What if it's male? Sorry.
male as the donkey?
It's just been there the whole time. Sorry.
It's funny. So then we have this kind of heart to heart with Crocus and Barathol about, Crocus tried to save Haborik. He's like, Barathol's like, I tried to save him too. At least I got Char
before that, so Spite drops off Crocus and the Solara.
Yeah.
And they're both, not doing well. And then they're like, oh gosh, who are these people? And Mappo's like, oh, I recognize that one guy. And then Iskral Pus is just screaming because somebody starts clambering their way onto the boat, and Barathol has found his own way there, which I'm like, okay, a dragon flew one over. And Barathol, I guess, swam the whole way, dragging Char. A little buff boy. And he throws Char on the deck, and then we have this scene that I think is such a beautiful payoff and so sad and so joyful in the same time. Of feeling so deeply for this person and being like, what can I do? He's like pumping his chest. Solara's witnessing like what true loyalty looks like. Spite is looking on and just feeling feelings that Mappo is sensing, and what Barathol does to sort of wake Char up as he like effectively yells at him that he didn't fulfill his responsibility. You forgot to do this thing for the horses. You have to do this thing. The wolves are coming. You didn't do it, and I'm going to be mad. And that sense of duty, that sense of responsibility that we've seen from Char several times before, is the thing that makes him cough and sputter and wake up and feel these strong emotions of, I didn't do my job. Mm-hmm. And then Barathol saying, no, you did it. That already happened. You did everything. I'm not mad. I love you. Fine. And they're both they describe it as two massive men just sobbing together on the deck. And Spite's looking on, and Mappo senses that she has her own sadness, that he feels her just banish it. And he's like, what the hell did you do that? You can just banish sadness? And she said, how could I feel this sadness when there is this joy here? How could I care about the small things that I'm annoyed about, upset about, when we're witnessing the most extreme, exuberant joy happening in front of us?
So well summarized. I loved that moment as well. It is incredibly beautiful and powerful, and what he has to do to bring Char back from the brink. It's just, I was very emotional reading it. And of course, and then the next lovely moment is Crocus and asking Mappo where Ikariam is. He says, I lost him, and Crocus says, I'm sorry. To Mappo's like, to me, I'm the one who screwed up. You're feeling empathy to me. Yeah, and just another lovely piece of compassion.
It is, and it's something that like. To me, I'm like, okay, Mappo, you're being a little hard on yourself. You got like attacked by like a crazy pack of wolves and knocked off a cliff. Yeah. Is that you losing him? I mean, I guess, but it also is like, there's some amount of, you think you could beat everything in the entire world? I guess you must think that. You're like his protector.
Right? Is to protect him, yeah.
But it is.
I get it.
It is. I get it, but I'm also like, come on, buddy. Cut yourself a little slack.
Yeah.
It was a crazy situation.
You can't fight the gym.
You can't fight the gym if you don't go to the gym.
And Spite's like, I hope Ikariam meets my sister and kills her.
Does she say and kills her?
No, I think she's like wants him to take care of her for her, right?
In some way, whatever that means. But I can't tell. I'm so thrown off from the plague lady and the nice lady being like topsy-turvy of like, okay, plague lady doing plague things, but nice lady's like, you killed plague lady, you're so stupid, she was the good one, I'm dead too, whatever. And now I'm like, Spite being like this joy and feeling sad things. I'm like, spite is like spiting the badness and the
Yeah.
good names.
Well, her sister's Lady Envy, right? Who we hung
Yes.
out with in book 3 a
Who
bunch,
was
right?
also doing like, I would call them edgy things, like,
Yeah.
but like ultimately sort of fighting with the people that we thought were doing better things. So
Yeah.
everything is in the gray area.
And then Spite at the end of the scene just turns and says, boy, sure, thank you to whoever saved us. Cut to whoever saved them. Gnos!
Woo!
Who's like, exhausted, collapses. Fist, Wraith, Bude, and Nuttoball are like, hey, thanks for saving the world. Did you just save the world? And he's like, I don't know.
I would not say that I did that, but
I mean,
if I did.
Some people say I saved the world. Who am I to argue? You know?
Who am I to argue, though? I wouldn't say that because if I did, I might regret that I did.
Yeah. I've done some real boneheaded stuff before. Sometimes I save the world. Sometimes I put the world into great peril. It's all in the day.
I like that he's like, keeps being like, oh, I killed a god. I probably shouldn't have done that. I killed a different god. I shouldn't have done that either.
Yeah.
Save the world. I shouldn't have done that either.
Let those Daragoth out. That was a bad decision. Woo!
Anyway, back to my boat.
So then we head over to Fist Keneb and Nether and we kind of have this whole discussion of two groups of people that we haven't really met before, the Nemil, and sort of their whole deal with, they were going to make money from the Malazans. And we have the Parish, who were more expansionist, and they evidently fought the Tisti Dur. And so we kind of have this consideration of these other new peoples, which I think the Parish are going to kind of come into. They feel like we're setting up the Parish for something, to me.
I felt like we knew them.
Do you think we knew them? Oh, there's somebody that we knew?
The sword looked significant in some way. But
yeah, it was like awesome and etched. Yeah.
Puppy dogs. Oh, I remember. Sorry. I'll wait.
So then Kalam and Quickben get out of their hidey holes. and Quickben's like, man, I saw that all that go down at Hood's Gate. And Kalam's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? You were at Hood's Gate? How did they not see you? He's like, I was a corpse.
I just love that. Like, there's somebody, Tavor, somebody is like, Quickben, take care of as many people as you can and get out if you're going to get out. And I was like, it was that like Quickben's about it, but Quickben definitely was like, trouble, immediately going to like find a bargain, immediately going to like worm his way out of things. Like, oh, he is quick. He's quick, that Ben.
He's quick. Then we head over and we visit Fist 10 Baralta, 10A Baralta, who has a real heel turn.
Yeah.
Real abrupt heel turn here.
Turns out if you're just feeling pain and nerve damage and are half blind, you feel bad.
Yeah. You're susceptible to some manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
And so Gethal, the Herald of High House Chains, shows up and is like, listen, I know you're feeling bad. Your face is half gone.
He's like, same, twinsies.
Yeah. We're like starting a band. And it's all people like us. And we want you to be in it. You're awesome. And you know what? You deserve good things. And he's like, I thought that about myself. I really have. I've always thought I'm awesome. Finally, someone's acknowledging what I've always felt about me.
Mm-hmm. He's like, you so deserve at least one working eye. And if you join the band, we'll give that to you eventually. Maybe.
Yeah. All you need to do is give us everything in your soul. He's like, this sounds great.
It's like easy and there's nothing there.
So Fist Baralta is now part of the Team Crippled God.
Mm-hmm.
And very funny, like there's this intense scene of like, they'll never know how I'll become, yes, I'll have the power and I'll destroy them all. And then it cuts to like the next room over and Lestara's like, I heard all of that. In fact, I can't even sleep because he's so loud over there.
And I love how she's like, ugh, I guess Cotillion like kind of told me there was an option. But man, he could have just told me that this guy who's like my boss is turning into a jerk.
Very funny. Very funny. It's like, they'll never know. And like just like pan over to the other tent and she's like, this guy with this loud talking?
Well, I don't know if she heard the details of it or if she could just tell there was a conversation.
Yeah.
So
well, the one guy was like, this dude's talking to himself. I can't sleep. And she's not. He ain't talking to himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we head over and meet the Parrish. Robert Parrish. The old Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I too, I got that reference instantaneously.
And they, again, they seem awesome. They've got a huge old army. And
cool boats. Big boats.
Ready to go.
Oars,
and they
ramming speed.
They follow the Wolves of War, Tog and Fanderay.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a shield anvil, a mortal sword, a destriant, the whole nine. You know, the whole
they got the whole
team. Yep. And they're like, "Hey, welcome, Mesla." And I was like, "Isn't that a racial slur?" Do not call me Mesla. Yeah, wasn't that established as being like a
like the shorthand, like for like the
pejorative.
whirlwind people were like,
yeah,
it's
like those filthy Mesla. But they're like, we will fight with you. You've got our 13,000 people, adjunct to war.
Yeah, got
here's
that
my
big
sword.
lady. What was her name?
The Brucalian.
No.
Brucalian.
What?
The mortal sword.
Is it?
Tenacilian, the shield anvil, and Rune Thurvian, the destriant.
I thought like the buff lady had a different, like a shorter name than that, but I'm just not remembering. But so this, the fact that it was Tog and Fanderay made me be like, are these people all secretly the dogs that were running free? Are these like so they opened up Gnu's. He opened up the beast hold again, or whatever, the beast zone. And then all the puppy dogs that were the Talon doggy dogs that I forget the name of, joined, and they could finally be themselves and be free as puppies in the fields. And he was like, just be in here, doggy dogs. You are all the Talonimas's pets, and we let you just be in this space. So just live your happy dog lives in here. And now, mysterious puppy dog people. And maybe they just worship. But whether these people are like weirdly soul taken of those dogs or just worship the doggy dogs. But like that was like a forgotten hold. And so it feels interesting to me that you have this whole people who have like meticulously carved insignia and wolf heads and blah, 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 without somehow being connected to those dogs.
Yeah. Well, you're right that there's something to it, because the next scene, which is the last scene of the chapter, Quick Ben is like, I recognize those Parrish. I know who they really are. Mm-hmm. So there's something about it, and you may be spot on. I did not make that connection, but the Parrish are significant in some way. Mm-hmm. And then there's that weird moment where
maybe they're called Parrish because they were dead.
Maybe.
Anyway, sorry.
That Runthurvian like looks up and makes eye contact with Quick Ben. He's like, she sees me.
I like that he just curses, and Kalam's like, yes, the high mage of eloquency or whatever
diction,
he says.
I think
diction,
he said, yeah. So good. Mm-hmm. So good. So incredible, like the whole, meteorite shower or death from above sequence I thought was really fun this week. But it also like is happened and is over in a flash. And I feel like, it's one of those things that could have been its own like end of a novel. The whole novel leads up to it, and it's literally just one chapter. Like, it happened, we've dealt with it, moving on. I'm always so amazed by how much happens in these books.
I know. Especially when it started happening, I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And not that it wasn't like exciting. It's
It
like
was.
it opens more mysteries. Get me on the island. What's happening? What are the hands? I gotta know.
So good. So good. All right. We have, so those are our chapters. We have some sections, some passages that we love to pull out from our reading this week. I have a couple. I
only have one.
Oh, really?
I do. Yeah.
All right. I have the ones I picked. I'm like, Lana's going to know exactly which ones I'm picking. These are so obviously the ones I would pick.
I think mine is obviously the one I would pick, but only because it's a little silly.
Okay.
There's some chapters, like I felt like I would ripped through these chapters.
Yeah.
And when there's a lot of action, sometimes there's like an action sequence that I'm like, yeah, that's it. But often I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I forgot to highlight things. But I don't think that you will have the same ones as me if you want to start with one.
Okay, I'll start with one. This is, I believe this is Solara kind of musing about the world. She says, she's thinking about Cutter, who she's now, lovers with. She says, we are contrary creatures, us humans, but that isn't something we need to be afraid of or even much troubled by. And if you made a list of those people who worship consistency, you'll find they're one and all tyrants or would-be tyrants, ruling over thousands or over a husband or a wife or some cowering child. Never fear contradiction, Cutter. It is the very heart of diversity.
I would have thought that's one of your quotes. And mine is actually from that same page, just above it. And it gives context to what this is talking about a bit. Oh, no, it's right before that, so it doesn't quite give context. Okay, so this is Cutter and Solara loading up the boats that they just found. Cutter began loading the skull. He paused at one point and grinned wryly. Lighting a pipe's a good way of getting out of work, isn't it? You said you didn't need any help. With the bailing, yes. What you don't understand, Cutter, is the spiritual necessity for reward, not to mention the clarity that comes to one's mind during such repasts. And in not understanding, you instead feel resentment, which sours the blood in your heart and makes you bitter. It is in that bitterness that kills people, It eats them up inside. He studied her. Meaning, I'm actually jealous? Of course you are. But because I can empathize with you, I am comfortable with holding judgment. Tell me, can you say the same for yourself?
So good.
I like that little scene.
I love that too.
Very high and mighty way of saying, I deserve this.
There's another little moment in that section where that I love. It's very, very brief, but it's Char is watching Char's watching Solara, and he's stroking her hair. And says, Char watched with avid fascination every stream of smoke Solara exhaled. Mm-hmm. And then I think it's Banashar says, "Aye, lad, like the legends say, some demons breathe fire."
Yeah.
So good. Like sick burn, dude. Sick burn. All right, I have one last one. And this is actually chapter 20's epigraph.
We've got it. We're so good at this now.
We're locked in. Epigraph. But I just love it. I love this epigraph. This evidently comes from the mortal sword of the Grey Swords that we meet, one of the parish people. Mm. Discipline is the greatest weapon against the self-righteous. We must measure the virtue of our own controlled response when answering the atrocities of fanatics. And yet, let it not be claimed in our own oratory of piety that we are without our own fanatics. For the self-righteous breed wherever tradition holds, and most often when there exists the perception that tradition is under assault. Fanatics can be created as easily in an environment of moral decay, whether real or imagined, as in an environment of legitimate inequity, or under the banner of a common cause. Discipline is as much facing the enemy within as the enemy before you. For without critical judgment, the weapon you wield delivers, and let us not be coy here, naught but murder. And its first victim is the moral probity of your cause.
Woohoo. Interesting pairing
Discipline.
with your first quote.
Yeah.
Because it's talking about discipline, people who, oh no, they're talking about consistency being tyrants. Never mind.
Right.
Yeah, that's my bad.
People who
this
are
is how
rigid
bad
in their
my
thinking.
memory is.
Well, the first one's sort of about people who are rigid in their thinking. It's
Yes.
like anybody that sticks to this rigidity is inevitably going to be a jerk hole.
Yeah.
And probably trying to repress other people and force them into their own sense of rigidity.
Oh yeah.
Which I loved. But I love this like discipline. To say it another way, when they go low, we go high, right? It is like they're going to try to pull you into their means of attack. And discipline is the only thing that you have to maintain your own logical assessment of it, you can't get pulled down into this kind of emotional fray. And I just thought that was so good.
I love it.
Love it. All right. Very good stuff this week. Thanks again for the awesome starter question this week. If you want to send starter questions for us for the non-spoiler portion of the show, dlcfeedback@gmail.com or the Discord, 5x5 DLC on Discord, or right here on YouTube as a comment. Thanks for being with us. Two more we're getting close to the end. It's getting close. 2 more chapters next week. See you then.
When the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality, open up those pages, it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing